This is the Cogan Fellowship presentation. My name is Noah Fusco. I am an English major, and I was the student liaison through this entire process, which means I coordinated with Lindsey on all fronts to arrange dates and whatnot. So in the novel Ulysses, the main character Leopold Bloom's profession is that of an advertising man. In the text, his profession is referred to as the gentle art of advertisement, and elsewhere Joyce comments on the infinite possibilities hitherto unexploited of the modern art of advertisement. Unlike Bloom, however, we the average consumers of the United States may not think too long or too hard about what's around us. Advertisement may not seem gentle, nor would we necessarily think of it as a modern art. But that's part of why the Cogan Fellowship is so valuable. We forget how much of the world there is. We forget where the English major can take us. We see advertising and marketing and even magazines like Marie Claire on racks in grocery stores, and we take it at face value and forget that behind every magazine, behind every segment of every page in them, there is a creative team of introspective artists and thinkers who are constantly asking, who am I trying to reach? Who are they? Who do they want to be? And what can I do to connect with them? Our fellow this year works with this gentle art. I am proud to present to you our 2016 Cogan Fellow, Brand Development Director at Marie Claire, Lindsey Officer.
Hi guys, I'm Lindsey Officer. I graduated from Dickinson in 2009, and I'm completely honored to be here with all of you today, talking to you about making it in magazines or breaking into the biz, as I wrote here. So I'll get into all of it, but my journey really began when I was 10 years old, and I dreamed of working at a fashion magazine, and I distinctly remember hiding Cosmo from my mom under the mattress in my bed, and I would hoard issues of Cosmo, so little did she know it began then. But there was one woman who could relate to my passion for fashion, and that was Rebecca Bloomwood.
Rebecca Bloomwood, dress, Zac Posen, belt, Todd Oldham vintage, bag, Gucci. You know that thing when you see someone cute and he smiles and your heart kind of goes like warm butter sliding down hot toast? Well, that's what it's like when I see a store.
It's one of my favorite movies. So where I've been, this is my resume at a glance. I came to Dickinson as a sophomore. I transferred to Dickinson, and I was an English major, a French minor. I've always been really passionate about languages and reading and writing, but I was a very visual person as well. And so for me, marketing represented the best of both worlds, and I could meld those two passions together. I interned at Cosmo in the marketing department this summer between my junior and senior years, and I have Dickinson's Career Center to credit for that. My sophomore year, they organized a communications trip to New York City, and we met with various alum and parents of alum, and at the time, the editor-in-chief of Cosmo, Kate White, her son was a year younger than me at Dickinson, so we had lunch at Hearst. And I was so excited. So I applied. You had to apply. You had to interview, send a resume and cover letter as to why you were a perfect candidate to go on this trip. So I put like my all into it because I just knew I had to get there. And I remember belaboring over what I was going to wear. And I remember I wore black pants, a white top, and gray sweater. And I thought it looked very professional. And I just remember being devastated because when we met her, she said, "Oh, I see none of you are up with the trends that color is key this spring." And I thought, oh, no. But that was such a pivotal experience for me. I remember walking in the doors at Hearst, and it's very dramatic and elegant, and there's a huge waterfall when you walk in the entrance, and I just kind of thought, this is it. This is where I want to be. Hearst has 21 magazines, including Marie Claire and Bazaar, where I began my career, and Cosmo, of course, Elle, House Beautiful, Esquire, Pop Mechanics, Women's Day, you name it. So it's an amazing place to really jumpstart your career. So I met the story goes, I met Kate White, and I was kind of ruthless. I emailed her all of the time, and dedication paid off. So she introduced me to the head of marketing at Cosmo, and at the time, I, really was curious as to whether editorial or marketing was the ultimate path for me. I didn't really know much about publishing as a field when I was exploring this originally. And for those of you who don't know, every magazine is divided into two parts. So there's an editorial team, and they're responsible for booking the cover stars and the content of the magazine. So every beautiful, well shoot or portfolio you see, or every article you read, that's created by the editorial team. And then the publishing team is responsible for driving revenue into the magazine. So really keeping the business afloat. In turn, the publishing team is divided into two groups. There's ad sales, so they're responsible for selling the ads you see in the magazine. And there's marketing, who works in tandem with ad sales to really entice advertisers to buy more pages. So when you get frustrated and you see a March or September issue, which is our biggest issue of the year because they're the brink of a new season ahead, and you are page turning through all these ads, that's really how these magazines make money. It's not through subscriptions, it's solely through advertising. So when I was an intern at Cosmo, I actually specialized in special events, which is nothing to do with what I do today, but still was so thrilling to me. And I remember coming home every day just like with a skip in my step. I mean, it's so cliche, but I just loved it. And I really created the connections there that were instrumental to me when I was a senior and applying for jobs after graduation. So, and publishing is very unique because you apply on an as-needed basis. You're not like in finance, applying 6 to 8 months in advance and nailing down a job in October of your senior year. It's very much, as you go. And that, to me at the time, was very frustrating, to be patient. But it is important, to keep in touch with your connections. And the supervisor I had during my internship was wonderful and would always hop on the phone with me. And I actually came back to Cosmo over the course of my senior year 3 times or so to help out with special events. So that was an amazing way to just keep my foot in the door. So I graduated in 2009 when the market was just tumulting and everyone said, you better pick a new career. Print is dying, the market is horrible, why are you moving to New York? But I was really set on this path, and the speaker at commencement was Christiane Amanpour, and she gave some great advice, and that was really to travel and seize every opportunity. And that summer, I kind of followed that advice. I graduated without a job, and I knew that I just wanted to spend the summer traveling, so I went to Kenya with my dad and my sister. My sister at the time was graduating from high school, and I was graduating from college. And then I went to China with my mom, and then came back in August and really buckled down, moved to New York without the job, and hit the ground running interviewing. And then 4 weeks later, I had this job at Bazaar. I applied to so many jobs before I got this job at Bazaar. And, it really was a result of the connections I had fostered while at Cosmo that I was able to snag this job at Bazaar. So I started as a marketing assistant, and that was amazing because I was exposed to the various facets of marketing, including special events, which I had focused on during my internship, but also research. What else? Merchandising. So the members of the merchandising team are assigned to work with the sales rep, and they have a list of accounts, and they're pumping out proposals on ideas for programs and partnerships that might facilitate or ignite more business. But what really excited me was creative services, and that entailed copywriting and video production, and that for me was an amazing outlet to be able to exercise this love of visual and textual. So I was at Bazaar for 5 years, And it was amazing. It was really, really hard and a lot of grunt work at first, but I made it. And as I started as a marketing assistant, I held 4 positions there total, and I was able to really carve my own path there, which was amazing. Because I had this love of writing and copywriting specifically, my boss at the time, who was the head of marketing, helped me to kind of carve out these successive roles that focused very much so on creative services and working in tandem with the art department. So for that, I'm very fortunate. In 2014, I went to Vogue, and that was a huge kind of mix-up, in the sense I was mixing up my career path. And I went to focus on merchandising. So I there was assigned a list of accounts. I worked with 3 sales reps and was developing programs and partnerships across categories. So for fashion and beauty and liquor and footwear. And ultimately, that just was not a great fit for me. The culture, the team, I recognized very early on, and so simultaneously pursued other opportunities. And at the time, at the sort of simultaneously as to when I was having this difficult experience, a connection of mine at Marie Claire reached out. We had worked together on a video series when I was at Bazaar, and I loved her. And she said, we're creating this new role in brand development. Would you know someone who would be interested? And it was very strategic. And it took me a few days to get back to her because I thought, is it bad? I'm interested, and I've only been at Vogue for 2 months. But I replied to her, I said, I would be interested. Would you consider me? And she said, I hoped you would say that. So that worked out really, really well. And I started as Senior Brand Development Manager, and now I'm Brand Development Director, and I'll get a little bit more deeper into what that entails. But I've been there for about 2 years now. So what do I do? And I try to explain this to a lot of people, and it is interesting because it is a very niche role, and it doesn't necessarily exist in every magazine. So I focus solely on brand development, and that includes a few things. So presentation and packaging of sales materials. So anytime we're trying to position Marie Claire in the context of the core fashion set, so our competitors, including Allure, Cosmo, Elle, Glamour, Harper's Bazaar, InStyle, and Vogue. What are the materials that we can prepare? What is the language we can use and the visuals we can employ to really set ourselves apart from this set? Because it is a very cluttered set. So whether we're preparing a presentation for Dior and really, celebrating our clout in the luxury space, or whether we're creating collateral to announce a new program or initiative that Marie Claire is embarking on, that's what I will focus on. I'll work very closely with the art department. There are 2 people. And I'll write all the copy, I'll work on the positioning, I'll collaborate with the sales reps on what their key objectives are to hit in the marketplace. So this is just a smattering of things I've worked on recently. So August is our denim issue, and we created a sell piece dedicated to denim, showcasing our readers' propensity to spend on premium denim. That's where research comes involved. How editorially are we focused, and how do we over-deliver in the denim category compared to our competitors? Shoes First is the platform we have at Marie Claire, inspired by creative director Nina Garcia's famous fashion philosophy that every amazing outfit first begins with a fabulous pair of shoes. So we've drummed up a huge amount of shoe business as a result. We've grown our shoe advertising revenue more than any other magazine in the past 5 years. So collateral and presentations surrounding that platform. This Fashion in Focus piece was something that I created for my publisher. So she's the equivalent of the editor-in-chief, but on the business side. So I worked very closely with her on her key clients and objectives. She goes to Europe 3 times a year to really drum up luxury business. And it was a sell piece really celebrating Marie Claire and why we're a must-buy in that space. Marie Claire at peak. For those of you who read Marie Claire, we have 3 key editorial pillars: at work, at play, and then recently introduced at peak. And that's knowing that for every woman to be on her game at work and during hours and after hours, she has to look and feel her best. So this is really inspired by the wellness revolution and a way for us to tap into non-endemic clients and advertisers. So think Reebok or Athleta, those brands that you might not necessarily associate with core fashion magazines. It was a way for us to develop an in, if you will. So copywriting, this is my favorite part of my job. I've always loved to write, and it's really fueled by my love of reading. So again, just a few examples, and I didn't even know what this was before I worked in marketing, but advertorials are a key focus for me, and you might notice them when you read through magazines and you stumble across a page and it's unclear if it's an article or editorial and it's marked or slugged promotion on top or advertisement. Those are what I write. So it basically is the result of clients coming to Marie Claire or Magazine at Hand and saying, you know, we have this fabulous product. In this case, Celebrate with Style was for Crest white strips. We have this fabulous product. We want to leverage your editorial voice to really reach and appeal to your readers and promote our product. So in that case, I'll take their talking points, their visuals. We might do a custom photo shoot, and really run with their product and appropriate their key points into our brand voice. The game is on. This was a poster that ran in our October issue with the NFL. We had broken the NFL business, and this was hilarious to me because I am not a football fan whatsoever. And in order to copyright, you have to you need to be intelligent on the topic, because the whole idea is to be clever and snappy and fun in your writing. So I really had to study up on football, but that was a fun one to work on. And then video production. This is never in a million years what I thought I might be focusing on in my career, but it is an integral part of it. So whether we're developing video content on behalf of a brand, so for instance, we recently developed a video on behalf of the shoe brand Giuseppe Zanotti and shot a Q&A, an intimate Q&A in the Giuseppe Zanotti showroom with Nina Garcia and Giuseppe himself, really promoting their spring collection and the essence of the brand. And then this video in turn lived on Giuseppe Zanotti's website and social channels. So whether we're doing brand-specific content or we're developing our own content to really promote Marie Claire in the marketplace, it's something that I love and work on. It's very dynamic. So, and it still entails writing. So if you're writing a script or what have you, and you're working with talent, so I'll hire talent or stylists, makeup artists, hair stylists. I kind of touch all the moving parts, which is great. So the next video is an example of something I've worked on recently. It's our fashion brand video. So we might kick off a sales call or a media day with a video like this, as a way to add some sizzle to a sales call.
The woman that reads the magazine is a woman that knows what is happening in fashion, but likes to shop intelligently.
The Marie Claire reader has a very strong sense of personal style. She will totally go for it with an outfit.
She loves to go shopping, but she knows she can come back to the staples in her closet and mix them with confidence.
When you look at the pages of Marie Claire, you look at pages that are for a woman who's ready for anything, whether it be a woman looking to tackle the new trends of the season, or it's a woman who has a new job. I think that every section of the magazine is geared towards that woman who is out there and tackling the world.
She's looking to us every month and every week and every day for inspiration on what to wear.
We give a lot of thought on what we are proposing for our readers for the season. You are getting your information from a place of curation. It's that curated point of view. I think that's what is very different than from the online experience. The Whale is really where we can travel, physically and mentally. We like to inspire our readers through those pages, transport her, be it to a mood in fashion or to a mood in the place.
Magazines are built on the idea of the future and what's next. I think the future of Marie Claire is limitless.
And that's also, I think, one of my favorite parts of my jobs is that I get to work really closely with our editors. So, taking inspiration and cues from their vision for the magazine and repackaging it for the advertising community, I think has been really, really cool and interesting. To that end, we have a really cool event coming up in a couple of weeks, which I'm really excited about. It's called the Power Trip. And it really is inspired by our editorial DNA. So Marie Claire is very much geared towards the professional working woman. We have the most full-time employed audience and the most professional managerial woman. She's also the most affluent in the competitive set. So as I mentioned earlier, one of our key editorial tentpoles is Marie Claire at Work. So inspired by this whole philosophy, we partnered with JetBlue and W Hotels. And so in 2 weeks, we're flying 100 power women from New York to San Francisco, where they'll meet 100 of Silicon Valley's most successful women. So it's a 36-hour pop-up conference. It begins in air. And we've integrated various sponsors. So Dell and Shiseido and Tacori are integrated along the way. But then once they land in San Francisco, there's going to be a 4-part conversation series. So it's going to entail some amazing talent. I can't reveal exactly all who will be there, but you guys should check it out and follow along. But that's just an example of one way in which we've collaborated really closely with our editors, and that's something that's really exciting. So people always ask me, what does a typical day entail? And there is no typical day. And sometimes I come in with a to-do list of like 15 things and don't even meant to make a dent in it. But that really, therein lies the beauty of my job, because every day is different and so dynamic and fast-paced. So just an example. In one given day, I might prepare for Chanel Media Day. Media days are when essentially a dog and pony show that an advertiser will host, and they'll invite all the magazine brands and they'll brief them on their key initiatives and objectives for the upcoming year. And that's really your opportunity too to pitch the most compelling programs and ways in which our brands can partner together. So whether that's the Power Trip or Shoes First, as I mentioned earlier, or we might host an event. We regularly host events at Golden Globes, so maybe there's something we can partner on there. Write a Cascade advertorial. This is also a kind of cool part of Marie Claire, because when I was at Bazaar and Vogue, it was so strictly fashion, and being a part of Marie Claire is amazing because it's all about this woman who embraces this full, rich life, and she's not strictly passionate about fashion, but she has a career and she has philanthropies that she's interested in donating to, and she loves to work out, and my team, I think, at Marie Claire really embodies the reader, and I've never worked at a magazine where the team so embodies the brand, so that's really cool. And then, as I mentioned, I might work on a video script and weave in Lancome, for instance, weave in their brand objectives, and that's all with one large coffee to fuel me through. And I kind of touched on this earlier, but every day is so different and dynamic, and I love the team that I work with. I love to write. I get to exercise that on a daily basis. I love the satisfaction of holding what I've done in my hands, almost like you feel when you hand in an English paper. And you just have that sort of sense of success and weight when you see that month's issue. It's exciting to see your name in print, too. And how to do what I do. I get this question so many times, and so many nice emails from Dickinson students and alum. But I kind of think just seize every opportunity. I feel like I really developed this ready for anything attitude at Dickinson, and not just strictly in the English department, but, you know, kind of seizing everything that came my way. So whether it was the career communications trip to New York City, or, you know, I was an RA and I was a tour guide and I worked in the admissions office, and I kind of just was game for everything. And I feel like I've kind of carried that attitude over to my job. And I think persistence is key, and there's a way to really be artful about it. And I think I've kind of honed that over the years too. I kind of like put my head in my hands when I think about the emails I wrote to Kate White. But, you know, it's nice to follow up and kind of stay top of mind, your connections. It really truly is all about connections. All of the jobs that I've held have been a result of connections and introductions. I didn't apply blindly to any of the jobs. They were all a result of knowing someone. So that's really key. And that's it. So I hope you'll ask me questions. Thank you. We're going to bring the microphone to you. It's being live streamed, so you have to.
I just had a question with the fact that a lot of, so the world is moving towards digital, everything's online, and I noticed that Cosmopolitan, for example, has a Snapchat kind of thing, and that was their effort for going digital. What is Mary Claire's effort to go digital, or how are you all keeping up?
Yes.
What's around that?
Good question. So I'm sure you all hear print is dead, print is dying. I really, truly don't think that's true. And for fashion especially, business is booming. I mean, fashion is such a tactile experience. You really need those rich images, that glossy feel to really, spark inspiration, I think, and many clients still rely heavily on that as a core element of our business. For us, it is the prominent driving source of our revenue is our print business. But marieclaire.com, that said, is continually breaking bounds, and our social engagement is up 220% year over year. We have 8.5 million unique visitors to marieclaire.com, and that's nearly doubled in the past year. So that too is thriving. And increasingly, the programs and partnerships that we pitch to our clients, not necessarily increasingly, almost every time, they're cross-platform. So, for instance, we hosted an event just after the Golden Globes in January for the first time ever called the Image Makers. And it was really celebrating the behind-the-scenes stylists and makeup artists and, women behind these mega celebrities who make these stars shine. And L'Oreal was a sponsor, so they had presence at the event, but then they were also incorporated digitally. They ran ad campaigns surrounding the online content as well. And then, of course, we're incorporated socially via our social efforts as well. So we call that 360-degree marketing. But it is definitely a core element of our business, just not the primary. But good question. Any others? Yes. Yes. What is collateral?
Yeah, what are we actually working on? Because it's a word, it's obviously a buzzword in the industry. I don't know what that means. So what is collateral?
So collateral includes presentations. We have a general presentation. So that really is communicating our brand essence to the marketplace. What is our mission? Who is the woman we reach? What are our key initiatives? What is our digital and social presence? And then we often use that as a point of departure for all of our major presentations and client meetings. So that would be an example of collateral. So presentations and decks, sell sheets, which is also another buzzword, but we have key platforms at Marie Claire that we really create and curate content surrounding those platforms. So Marie Claire at Peak would be an example, Marie Claire at Work, Shoes First, our denim issue, the New Guard, which is a platform we have celebrating women whose contacts are their best currency, really celebrating women who are redefining power. So I'll sell pieces like printed luxe, heavy cardstock pieces that communicate what that is about in different ways that advertisers can get involved. Video content would fall under collateral too, so a sizzle reel developed to really communicate what that tentpole might be. Does that make sense? Okay. I know. Yes, yeah.
I have a related question.
Yeah.
I love watching Nina Garcia
Yeah.
Project Runway.
Yes.
And one of the words that she's always using when she's criticizing designers, that's not editorial. Do you know what that means? That's not editorial.
Gosh, I better do her justice.
It's an unfair question to you because she's on the other side of the business.
True.
So I just thought you might know. She might have thrown that around in meetings or something.
I don't know. No, she's never said that in a meeting I've been in with her. Maybe.
Ask her.
I know I should. Next time I'm in the bathroom washing my hands, I'll be like, Nina, what do you mean by that? Maybe authentic or original? I'm not quite sure, but that's a good question.
It's fascinating to me in the collateral and the editorial.
Yes.
Two examples of how you're generating vocabulary.
Yes, I know.
Usage within the business.
I know. It is quite fascinating.
Yeah, it's cool.
Professor Ball?
Can I piggyback on that?
Yes.
One of the things that you're doing here
Yes.
is like talking the talk.
Yeah.
And that is really hard for anybody going into a new profession.
Yes.
Right? Like, how did you learn to talk the talk? Right? I mean, is it just listening a lot and then mimicking what you're hearing? Like, you don't have to fake it until you make it, but like, you got it.
It's so funny because I don't even realize I'm talking the talk. I know. I guess it's just full immersion. Like you act like a sponge and then you soak it all in and then soon enough, I guess you are talking the talk. I don't know. Is there anything else I can clarify? I hope I wasn't speaking too much jargon.
No, it's fun to hear, right? Like, you know, like every 20th word, I'm like, oh, what about it? But you know what I mean, though? I think that sort of process of sort of acclimation.
Yes.
Do you have recommendations for people who are sort of launching?
Yeah.
To develop the skills to hone them?
Yeah.
So next time you go into Nina Garcia, you can say,
I want to talk your talk.
that just isn't editorial.
True. I know. Well, I do. So there are various trade publications, so like Women's Wear Daily or Footwear News or The Business of Fashion. I think those are all fabulous resources to subscribe to and might help you talk the talk. I think it's really funny because I feel like academia has a talk that I've departed from, and now I feel like, oh, I better like talk the academia talk. I, funnily enough, requested my thesis from Kelly this morning because I thought, oh my gosh, Noah asked me what my thesis was about last night, and I thought I need to speak intelligently about what my thesis was about, so I need to read up and talk the talk. No, that's a good question. Yes, Craig?
I wonder if it's also, I'm going to out myself as a reader of fashion magazines, that you also pick up some of that just by
Yes.
being into fashion magazines and reading them before you even get into the industry.
Definitely. That helps, I think, with copywriting, for sure. You know, just being able to whip out, fashion speak. And then with the marketing side, I think, too, that has just developed over time, I guess. But my husband always does kind of catch me and say, what are you talking about? What is that? So.
I have a follow-up.
Yes, follow-up question.
Were there opportunities when you were an English major where you got to write about your love for fashion or profession?
Yes, I think you might know the answer. So I took a nonfiction writing class with Professor Chilson, which I loved, and she encouraged us all to pick our own topic. My topic at the time was lipstick, and I was so impressed because Professor Chilson remembered exactly what it was about and even reminded me last night. But it was 3 parts. So it was research, a personal narrative about lipstick, and then an interview. And then, so there was these 3 chunks that you created and over the course of the semester, and then the final project was weaving these 3 chunks onto one another. So that was amazing. I need to dig out that paper too. And Professor Chilson was also my advisor while I was interning at Cosmo. So we did various papers and projects together over the course of that, really focused on magazine writing. And then when I came back to campus my senior year, we revived the English newsletter, which I don't know if it's still there.
Not the same format.
Okay.
But if anybody is interested in re-reviving
Yeah. Resurrect it. So those are just a few examples.
Okay, hey.
Hey.
So you're speaking about women in power, and I
Yeah.
think that's really cool that Marie Claire focuses on that.
Yeah.
But I guess this is a business that I am interested in getting in. But
Yeah.
something that I do question are forms of representation and how diversity is represented within these avenues.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you could speak on that.
Diversity represented in these avenues. So I can't wholly speak to that because I'm not on the editorial team. You mean in the pages of the magazine?
Yeah. So like queer narratives, racial narratives, body type narratives.
Mm-hmm.
How is that represented within?
Yeah. Yes, yeah. No, I think, it's definitely a sensitive topic and something that we're keen to embrace. I think Marie Claire, I love Marie Claire because it's really all about embracing the whole of a woman. One of our regular monthly features is Big Girl in a Skinny World, and it's a woman, she's a blogger, Nicolette Mason, and she's a lesbian and also plus size, and she talks about her kind of travels in fashion and what to wear and, the implications of such. So I feel like never would you necessarily find that article in Harper's Bazaar or Vogue, but it is, I think, endemic to the Marie Claire brand, so it's definitely a focus of ours. Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Yes?
So you mentioned that you minored in French.
Yes.
How often, if at all, can you use that or can you travel?
I know. I wish more. But Marie Claire herself was French. Her name was Marcelle Claire. So it's really, I think, fitting that I ended up at Marie Claire. I collaborate a lot with the Marie Claire France team. So while Marie Claire France was the original edition, we now have 34 editions around the globe. The US edition is really looked to as, the leader in the space. So they'll take a lot of inspiration from what we're doing or the way, we're crafting our presentations. So that's exciting to me. I wish I spoke French more regularly, but I don't. So, yeah. Any others? Yeah.
Because you brought it up, I'm just curious what your thesis was about.
Oh God, good thing I looked. It was Edith Wharton, The House of Mirth, and positioning romance as redemption and really the Christian undertones in the novel. Am I missing anything, Professor Reed? I read the preface this morning. So, yeah.
Question. One of the things that has most changed my picture of social media,
Yeah.
I think you all know, and some of you maybe heard me say it in class, is that if you're getting something for free, you're not the customer, you're the product. In other words, Facebook, the product is the users, and the customers are the advertisers. And I guess I'm naive, but it obviously hadn't occurred to me that that's the way fashion magazines are too. So I'm just, the way you've been talking, I realize your job is to sell things to advertisers, not to...
It's kind of two-pronged, yes. The primary job is to sell it to advertisers.
So I'm curious, what salaries or sort of resources, what proportion of it is editorial and what proportion of it is business or the?
It's half and half. It's half and half. So, and I would say the publishing team is a little bit bigger than the editorial team, but we sit on the same floor. One half of the floor is dedicated to edit, one half is dedicated to publishing. But, you know, while we are really marketing and gearing ourselves towards advertisers, we're still simultaneously marketing to consumers. So, for example, with advertorials or video content, when we're taking these materials from brands and really appropriating their voice, using the Marie Claire voice, that's when we're consumer facing. So it's two-pronged. Yeah. Any others? Professor Reed?
I'm not sure I know how to ask this question, but there have been times in my life when I've been cynical about fashion.
Yes.
Involved by looking at the size of my closet.
Yes.
You know, get narrower and get wider, narrower and wider. So you buy in cycles.
True.
Well, we do wear ties. I mean, it's a tradition for some of us, certainly not in the Islamic world, but in the Western world.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if fashion seems to be a lot about innovation and the new thing, and obviously literature often involves innovation as well. I'm just wondering if coming to fashion from an English major here, you sense that there's an interplay between innovation and tradition in a way. I think in literature you would see innovation often working against tradition. You know that something was an inventive sign because you know that there was a Shakespeare sign of it was Caesar. But do you see traditions in fashion that are enduring, that sort of last through these waves of, or determine the shape of these waves of innovation? What would you say are the traditions of fashion that people come back to over and over and over again, potentially?
That's a hard question. Gosh. I don't know. I would consider my own fashion sense, I feel like I'm more classic and traditional. That said, I think these innovations that we're seeing in fashion recall traditions and play upon and capitalize upon traditions. I don't know. That's a good question. So we have this new platform at Marie Claire called The Next Big Thing. So January was our first ever Next Big Thing issue. And it was all about, you know, it was kind of like this cultural crib sheet on what to expect in the next year ahead. And it was really supposed to be this evergreen issue and what's next in fashion and wellness and beauty. So I think we are very future and forward thinking, but I mean, at the same time, a classicist. I feel like print itself is, and staying true to and core to that business is a tradition, and I think a huge commitment of fashion magazines as a whole. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's a hard one. Thank you. All right. Did you have a question? Anyone else? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.